happy you guys are eating lunch because as I take you on the sort of magical mystery local food tour of my food shed, you're going to see a lot of delicious local food. So be thankful that you're eating some delicious local food right now here during lunch. What I'd like to do though before I start zipping through 150 or so slides, so you know, be wary of whiplash here, I guess, as I go through this PowerPoint, is to really get a sense of who's in the room with us today. I maybe arrived a little bit tardy. Maybe you've done some introductions, but it would be really helpful for me, and I think probably for others here today, to just be amazed by this huge turnout and to really know who's here and who cares. So I'm wondering if everyone who is a farmer, if you could raise your hands, knowing that lots of people wear multiple hats. How about any food processors or food producers? Great. How about market partners, retail operators, restaurateurs that buy local, institutional buyers, natural food stores, food co-ops, specialty food distributors, natural food distributors, self-delivery operations. Okay, great. How about folks who invest in local food? Folks who might be foundations, financial institutions, community development finance institutions, bankers. Great, great, okay. How about some of the educational partners, folks who maybe work for a land-grant university or community college or practitioners in extension? Okay, how about farm associations, nonprofit intermediary partners, folks like me who help write grants and help grow the local food economy? Okay, very good. So it looks like our largest turnout were farmers, which is wonderful. I love hanging out with farmers. I pretty much do that every day. I'm wondering though, did I miss anyone? Tell us who you are.
I represent wildlife interests and also eco-label interests.
Okay, so for those who wouldn't be able to hear, perhaps, we have a representative from eco-labeling and from environmental group interests. So excellent, great. Well, what I'd like to do today is, since I can't click my heels and transport you to Appalachia, Ohio, is what I want to really do is tell the story as an emissary of our local food system, what we've been learning and what's been happening. And hopefully some of that information today is translatable, I think, for your region, or certainly for any region that is trying to develop local food systems that are fair and just within their communities. So just a little quick information on ACEnet. We're a 501c3 nonprofit organization. We've been in operation for 27 years. And sort of the mothership of ACEnet is the Appalachian Center for Economic Networks. In the 90s, we started doing a little bit of micro-lending because access to capital was a significant challenge for a lot of our farmers and food producers. And then over time, that morphed into a community development financial institution called ACEnet Ventures. In recent years, because we have so many folks who kind of come and visit and hang out with us and try and figure out, you know, what are we doing building a local food economy, weaving networks of practitioners, producers, farmers, processors, market partners, we decided to create a for-profit arm, and that's ACEnet Consulting. So a lot of the work that I have the pleasure of doing, traveling out and about, is really providing contract services, assessments, helping communities really identify what some of the leverage points are in their communities to accelerate the growth of a local food economy. So that's sort of the ACEnet infomercial. Obviously, we do a lot of work in Central Appalachia. ACEnet's main focus is the 32 counties of Appalachia, Ohio. So I think what we've really learned over the last 20 years is that whatever hat we're wearing, whether we're locavore, whether we're a new consumer to local foods, whether we're a farmer, whether we're a producer, we're really seeing a tremendous paradigm shift, I think, all across the U.S. and certainly probably all across the globe at this point. So it's a testament to that change, to that shift that's occurring, that all of you are taking time off from your busy days and coming and hanging out here the middle of the week on some beautiful sunny weather to talk about the shift to local. And I think, you know, whether you come at it from maybe looking for more income opportunities as a farmer, whether you're a consumer looking for healthier, fresher foods, whether you're concerned about sort of the carrying capacity of our planet and you're very concerned about sort of the environmental direness that maybe seems on our near horizon, I think there's a lot of reasons to embrace this movement. And we've really seen, I would say, tremendous traction and acceleration within our region. And I see it happening all across Central Appalachia. So you just look at some of those trends, whether it's all of us trying to figure out how to be healthier eaters, whether it's the USDA trying to connect a lot of their programs through the Know Your Farmer, Know Your Food initiative, whether it's, I would say, the incredible shift that's happening with institutional buyers, so K through 12, schools trying to figure out how to really make healthier food so that we have healthier kids. You know, we want our children's lifespans to exceed those of this generation. So I think there's a lot of shifts happening. But are we prepared for the tremendous economic impact that can be rooted within and owned by rural, suburban, urban communities in a new way? So, you know, thinking about all the new jobs that will be created. If many of us in this room just start to shift 10 or 25% of our purchasing to local products, local produce, local meats, local dairy, you name it, this is going to have a tremendous financial impact, and are we ready to go? So I always like to say in Athens, Ohio, it's go time, and it's go time big time. So we're really looking at ways to shorten that supply chain. You know, it's getting food from the farm to that fresh plate. And full disclosure, this is a restaurant that I actually own cooperatively with many other worker owners. And one of the, I would say, values that we've had as a worker-owned business has been to really get local produce and source as much close to our restaurant's location as possible. So we're all looking for that recipe. And, you know, as a local food practitioner, I've always got to talk in food and farm metaphors. So we're always using, I would say, those semantics. And I think what we've learned over time is that the old approach, that traditional supply chain, not so good for farmers, right? All you farmers in the room. A lot of times it's just pennies on the dollar for what you're producing. So we really need to look at this in a new way. Look at it maybe in a more natural context as a cycle. So I think mapping the value chain, creating opportunities for everyone within that supply chain process is really going to create healthier economies, wealthier economies for individuals who maybe have been left out of that opportunity in the past. So we've really focused on the principles of wealth creation. And nowadays I even talk about this as health and wealth creation. Because what we're really doing, and certainly in our rural communities in Appalachia, Ohio, is focusing on place. That place has meaning, that we're rooted within our food sheds, that we have a connection to the land, to our communities, to the people. That we've got to incentivize collaboration, that working in isolation, whether it's nonprofit intermediaries working within their silos, whether it's farmers competing with one another for the same pennies on the dollar. You know, that's a broke system, and we can't keep investing in it. So we're looking at ways to create multiple forms of wealth. It's not just measuring what's in your bank account or what your annual sales are. It's looking at wealth in a new context, and we'll talk about that in a minute. And I think what's really important, and certainly something you'll hear from many of the speakers over the next 2 days, is to take on more local control. You know, as someone who's been an old co-op hand, who's been involved in food co-ops since the 70s, who's been a founder and business director now for 27 years of a worker-owned co-op, seeing the networks that have developed between co-ops, taking a lot of those cooperative values, even when organizations or businesses aren't formed as cooperatives, still looking at some of those values, and local ownership is a big piece. So this is just my sort of primitive graphic of the 7 forms of wealth that we're really focused on. I think what we've tried to do at ACEnet is really track with our partners some of the indicators, so that we want to see an increase in these 7 forms of capital. It might be individual wealth, it might be the social wealth within communities, intellectual wealth, natural wealth, built capital, political capital, and certainly by no means do we want to forget financial capital. So let's explore some of these different forms of wealth. Well, I think in all of our regions, in all of our food sheds, we have tremendous assets. We have assets of place. So, you know, whether it's a diversified system, certainly in Appalachia, Ohio, we have fruit, we have specialty crop production, we have lots of pastured meats, we have all shapes and sizes of farm operations, although in general they're small to mid-size. We're in the Appalachian foothills. We have folks who have invested in new directions. So berry development has been very prolific in our region. A lot of this was led through extension leadership as well. They were great champions, looking at our soils, at our microclimates, and really identifying, you know, what are the things that we can raise within our communities, within our region. It was great to hear some of the conversation earlier about grains. We have some incredible innovators within our community that have gotten different research funding to develop different crops within our region. So from amaranth to spelt to heirloom corn, really looking at what are the non-GMO alternatives. How do we create more staple crop production, whether it's using legumes, cleaning them, marketing them as a whole bean, or utilizing a mill to develop some of these new flours that then can even be turned into value-added products. So just a couple examples. This started out from the Appalachian Staple Foods Collaborative, one of the for-profit businesses that has been developed in the last 3 years is Schaller Seed and Mill. And they're really, I would say, filling a gap now, not just with local consumers, but finding partnerships, especially with institutional buyers, many of our grocery stores, and a lot of the restaurants that are looking at the different types of products that can be produced from grains grown in our region. So like you guys, you know, we're in the rolling foothills of Appalachia, Ohio. It was fun coming over the mountain yesterday to get here. You know, we really count on our soil and grass. You know, pastured meat production has been a key part of what we've been able to produce within our food shed. You know, we have a lot of folks who are doing all types of pastured livestock production. And many of them started out selling directly to consumers at farmers markets, but now many of them have diversified those markets into wholesale accounts as they've been able to sustainably and I think rationally scale their businesses. The other thing is we have a lot of food from our forests. So whether it's mushrooms, whether it's culinary or medicinal herbs, whether it's elderberries that grow wild that now are being made into teas, whether it's the lowly pawpaw fruit, which has now really taken center stage within our economy, where landowners are picking pawpaws at their peak ripe season, distributing them through integration acres, which now freight ships fresh pawpaws to exotic fruit brokers on the East Coast and the West Coast. We even have a festival that I think was in its 13th year, if I remember correctly, this year, that draws people from all across the country to celebrate all things pawpaw. So here's this really fragile indigenous fruit that lots of our community members had really not taken, paid much attention to, that really sort of dismissed as kind of a garbage fruit within our community. Well, now a whole commercial industry has been really developed around this commercializing this product. So whether it's value-added products or maybe even frozen pawpaw popsicles. So how does this develop individual capital? Well, many of our farmers really, I would say in the 70s and 80s, switched to direct markets. So we have an incredibly robust Athens Farmers Market, just celebrated its 40th year, probably had close to a $4 million footprint within our economy. In 2012, over 115 vendors participate in the market. It's year-round, both indoor and outdoor space, December through March. We have lots of innovators. You already heard from Warren ask his question earlier. Believe me, you will hear a lot more from Warren over the next day and a half. We've got, folks who have just really created new operations based on many of those assets within our community. So a lot of this is just passing the local food economy wisdom on to the next generation. There's a lot of assets that fit right into all of our individual consciousness. Are we really helping the next generation figure out how to farm? This is Charlene and J.B. King. They are fifth generation family farmers on their property. Both their children and grandchildren now are involved in their business as well. So this is quite a legacy of individual capital that needs to be massaged and supported and really figured out how to engage our next generation into supporting this local food economy. We have folks with just a great product idea, just a home-based recipe that they're developing within a shared use facility like ACEnet's Food Ventures Center. We have a passionate entrepreneur who had a great barbecue sauce, like many entrepreneurs who come and visit with me when they're first getting going. All our friends and family love this recipe. Well, believe it or not, it can get turned into a commercial product when those assets are in place. So it's family businesses. It's families staying on the farm, trying to figure out how to manage, be good stewards of both their farmland and the forests that surround them. So it might be microenterprise, it might be job creation, it might be helping folks get off their second job or their off-farm dependence on outside income. And then some of our businesses, as they produce and grow, they're creating a tremendous opportunity within our communities to hire people. These are folks at Green Edge Gardens. They like to say they're the largest employer in Ames Township right now. So they have over a dozen full-time employees as well as seasonal staff. Some of them are woofers coming in the season. Some of them are interns really studying how they do what they do. And I think our individual capital then comes together to create ways that we can collaborate more effectively. So it might be regional branding, it might be different ways that folks can support education. This is a shot of one of our busy Saturday mornings at the Athens Farmers Market. It's really creating sort of, I would say, new assets to spread the word. So all these folks who are shopping at the Athens Farmers Market, well, they want to get to know where their food is coming from. So having umbrella brands, having regional brand programs that help you meet your producers. You might not always have time to go and shop direct at a farmer's market, but if you can partner, if farmers can partner with other markets to really spread the word about where food is coming from, that really builds our social capital. And a lot of this is just that trust and relationship building, and then what we at ACEnet always refer to as network weaving. Here's Brandon of Shagark Seed and Mill, and here's Matt, the OU executive chef at Ohio University. They're hanging out together at the Chesterfield Produce Auction, which is one of our largest aggregation centers for locally produced and locally raised produce from our region. You know, as they develop a relationship, that's going to make it easier for Brandon to get more of his shagbark products, whether it's spelt flour, whether it's heirloom corn chips, into their institutional buying cycle, into their supply chain. So looking at some of the food enterprises now that have been part of this network, they're always coming up with new ways that they can collaborate and effectively reach markets that they might not be able to do singly. And a lot of that has just been based on those social relationships. This is Stacy Hall, Bill Dix, and Warren Taylor. The Snowville Creamery processing facility is a partnership with these dairy farmers, and we'll see a few more examples of their location here in a minute. But a lot of it is also creating social capital so that we're creating a just food system for all. You know, local food can't just be for the affluent. It just can't be all those folks addicted to the food channel. It's got to be accessible to everyone. So it might be making sure that there's an opportunity for everyone to afford shopping at a farmer's market. You know, having the SNAP benefits, the EBT transactions, having nutritional training, food preparation training. This is the junior chefs at our Athens Farmers Market. We do training programs every summer during the height of the season when school is out. But it's also looking at ways for maybe some of the traditional market partners, our chain grocery stores, our independently owned stores, to get on the bandwagon. A lot of what we've done in Appalachia, Ohio is really push consumer awareness. So it's the consumers, it's the locavores. They're asking where their local tomato is. They're asking, why did the Snowville Creamery milk get moved to another location in the store? We've all have an opportunity as eater owners within our food economy to make a difference. And applying some pressure, some coaxing, I think, to our larger market partners to source more local is really crucial. So a lot of these traditional buyers, here's Madigan from Ohio University, are shifting, trying to figure out ways that they can really support their local farmers and food producers. And then I think we have to tell the story effectively. So the regional brands in our region might be a good example, but many of the retail partners, they're using all this information, all this kind of meet the producer experience in their advertising as well. And then all the stuff pops up. It might be the Paw Paw Festival, it might be Ohio Brew Week. You know, as people come together and really try and figure out solutions, they're looking at ways to make a change. So as nonprofit partners, you know, we try and make that easier. Some of it might be social media. You know, I have to confess, a year ago, I never thought I would be on Facebook, and now I'm like a creature of Facebook. It's like really kind of scary. But it's like this incredible power for many of our farmers and producers to tell their story. You know, not just being able to verbalize it 3 hours at the farmer's market on Saturday morning, but to be able to do a post in the middle of the night, you know, when you're tossing and turning and thinking about something else, that maybe lots and lots of folks are going to get a sense of what you're doing and just have that sense of connection. So whether it's online communities, whether it's social media, a lot of this social capital then really, I would say, disseminates widely. People get involved because it's fun, it's useful, their sales are increasing, they're making new connections. So a lot of intellectual capital is happening. You know, a lot of the market partners are trying to figure out better ways to tell the story. This is a mural in one of our retail stores. You know, they're actually naming their businesses in such a way that it really resonates as to their values, their vision about buying locally. A lot of the farmers give back by hosting farm tours, encouraging not just customers, but other folks, other local food champions. We've hosted over 40 tours in our area. So folks come and visit at Snowville Creamery. They go to Schaller Seed and Mill to see their setup. They come in to visit ACEnet to see our shared use facility. And then our media or some of our other educational partners are there, you know, so they're videoing it the whole time, just as probably somebody is videoing me right now to pass on some of this information. But a lot of it is just creating an environment, a space for folks to really come together, to figure out how to build those relationships of trust so that collaboration just bubbles up and happens every day. And I think for farmers, particularly in our region, it's allowing them to give voice to some of these new solutions. It's not folks like me or some of my peers in co-op extension who are saying, do this, do that, this is the latest trend, oh, let's write this grant. You know, it's folks coming together and trying to say, here's what I really need, or here are the gaps, or here are the challenges. So it's bringing all these players to the table, just like how everyone together in this room is going to be breaking bread and listening to one another for the next day and a half. It's farmers, it's producers, it's the restaurant chefs and owners, it's the retailers, it's the institutional buyers, and then it's intermediaries like me who help hopefully weave this network. This whole Food We Love brand program came out of these types of collaborations. It wasn't something that Leslie at ACEnet dreamed up. It was something that the farmers and producers wanted to make happen. It's something that the market partners have asked for. You know, we need new tools to be able to tell the story more effectively. So as I always say, this is our incredibly shameless, boastful new umbrella brand. It's the 30-mile meal. And we can say this because for a local restaurant to be able to source a good portion of their menu within 30 miles is a tremendous testament to what's been happening within our local food system. You know, and we have great advocates. It's the market partners, it's those buyers, those chefs, those store owners. You know, they're really singing the praises of the farmers and the food and farm community. So what is this leverage? Well, obviously a lot of built capital. Things are continuing to grow and expand. We've seen a lot of, I would say, success come from our shared use facilities. It might be the Chesterfield Produce Auction, which has been growing anywhere from 25 to 50% annually. I think now serving over 150 local farmers to reach new networks, both Amish and English. Allowing market partners like restaurants that never bought local in the past to come and shop on a Monday and Thursday and really choose the highest quality and freshest produce imaginable within our region. It really has made a huge difference with the institutional buyers. We would not be having our farm to school success without the aggregation and distribution infrastructure in place. But we need to grow. A lot of this stuff is inadequate. So as much money, I think, as many of us have raised as nonprofits, we're still incredibly under-resourced, and that's still a huge challenge for us. So I think a lot of folks are probably interested in ACEnet because of our Food Ventures Center. Opened in 1996. This is a really out-of-date slide that I should have changed minutes ago, but didn't. We've served over 280 businesses. We have had over 130 food business tenants in 2012. We have inquiries, probably anywhere from 10 to 20 new businesses a month right now. Rick Wasserman, one of our early tenants, he now operates 3 different businesses within our food economy that probably, I would say, have created 65 full-time jobs and probably about 40 part-time jobs. So what happens, I think, within our Food Ventures Center is it's a starting point. This is our central preparation kitchen. It allows people to maybe first get started. It might be farmers looking at ways to value add. These are some peppers being roasted, end products looking like that. Brand new entrepreneurs, they just started last week. We'll see how their business materializes. But these are folks who would never be able to afford to start their own licensed kitchen. You know, we have lots of prepared food production because it's a shared use facility. A lot of the tenants are buying from one another. So a farmer might be using the facility just for storage, but because there's food trucks, operators who are tenants, because there are caterers, they're sourcing more and more local ingredients. It obviously has made it convenient for them, but it's back to that network weaving. It's back to that, how do we take our individual capital, marry it through collaboration with your individual capital, and then accelerate our opportunities as food enterprises. So, you know, again, the gal with the great recipe, hiring a few employees, our bakery area. You know, lots of the bakery folks are using local ingredients. One of the Facebook postings I read this morning was from Jeremy at Crumb's Bakery emailing Constantine saying, "Where's the honey?" So it's amazing how much is produced, how much is used in terms of local ingredients. And a lot of these businesses then are working together. Another new client, these are great pretzels. That really taste more like bagels, I think, but they're still delicious nonetheless. Our facility allows for pasta production. Some of these businesses have grown significantly. So we have folks who are selling locally, maybe direct at a farmer's market, but we also have folks who are selling internationally and even exporting at this point. So dry packaging, all types of different tea, herbal blends, spice rubs, frozen food. This is a natural food, organic, mostly organic ingredients, baby food producer. Again, the Paw Paw popsicles. Where else but in Athens, Ohio can you have a Paw Paw popsicle? Crackers. These are great, by the way, to also ship net. But probably the thermal processing, I would say, is what many of the farmers are most interested in. So it's creating value-added products initially. Over time, people might be doing larger manufacturing using local ingredients. Again, our room here, very under-resourced. We're trying to raise another $200,000 to update this facility. If you look at the floor, because we grow so many tomatoes and peppers and just process so much high-acid product, we have to replace the concrete floor pretty much every 6 to 12 months because it just gets eaten away. So this is a room that has produced, as of November, over 1 million Schallers of product. Newer farm business, grow about 5 varieties of different peppers. They've been, yes? Okay, I've got the big cook. So looking at that value chain from production, you know, to marketing. There's the new product hot off the shelves, accessing the wholesale markets, you know, exporting now, figuring out what kind of distribution is needed. Obviously, we need a lot of refrigerated and frozen storage, especially as more and more folks try and sell to institutional buyers. Here's some farm to school folks picking up, taking food to their elementary school. Working with larger distributors who are moving product throughout the region. So just some shots of our warehousing. We also have another building in our Nelsonville Business Incubator campus that's turning into a food hub, hopefully as we raise additional capital. So a lot of that usage of the shared facility has then allowed producers to prototype their recipes, maybe start more on-farm processing. We have wineries, we have distilleries, we have restaurants now that have really grown with the use of local products. They're opening second locations. A lot of the farmers are really creating new models as they scale their production. So this is just some of the high tunnel expansion at Green Edge Gardens this past season. You know, and the season extension opportunities really help solidify those market partner relationships. And I think when you look at some of this way that leveraging has happened with infrastructure, it just has created so much additional investment, not just from the actual entrepreneurs, the farmers, and the food producers, but we're looking at ways that more and more locavores within our community, those eater owners of our food system, can now invest as well. And certainly Michael and Elizabeth are going to be talking about community capital extensively over the next day and a half. But this has really encouraged, I think, many of our businesses to go the path of sustainability. So whether they're beautifying their uptown districts, whether they're looking for new energy efficiencies, whether it's the microbrewery coming out of the brew pub, everyone's looking at ways to really figure out, as a local food entrepreneur within this economy, how can we support one another? So there's the Paw Paw Beer. There's the Paw Paw Festival. Paw Paw to the people. So a lot of this, again, and you'll hear this from many of us, I think, in Appalachia, Ohio, is we need to develop more political capital. So a lot of this has been coming out of that social capital. A lot of it is from the partnerships we have, not just with our retailers and our buyers, but also with our local media, really helping tell the story. So we're constantly in the news. We have a lot of events where our politicians, our mayor, our county commissioner, can take credit for being a partner to helping really build this local food economy. Our Economic Development Council, they're really talking about it on their webpage. We've even had one of our premier food innovators, Chris Schmiel, the Paw Paw guy. He just recently ran for county commissioner and got elected. So, we'll be taking over the political system here pretty soon as well. So, just some of those key concepts. It has to be demand-driven. We've got to create value chains so it's win-win for everyone. We've got to focus on infrastructure and really think about this as wealth and health creation within our communities. So just our role has been to focus on markets, focus on infrastructure, focus on capital, because those are the gaps that we see within our community. I'm sure many of you see similar gaps within your community as well. But none of this is going to happen without a more significant investment in collaboration. So as a nonprofit, our role is to really help the collaborators work more effectively and to find the program support so that we can accelerate the expansion of our food economy. And it's really a win-win combination. Everyone gains within our community. All the eaters are going to have much healthier access to local food. So soon, there's a major motion picture being made about us, and it will get released hopefully sometime in 2013, and it will be a much more effective storytelling format than me trying to rapidly click through these slides before the big hook gets me off the floor here. So if you want to hear more, I have hundreds of PowerPoint presentations. Go to ohiofoodshed.org, lots of resources, lots of videos. Hang out at our Facebook pages all throughout our businesses. And then obviously there's contact information. I'll be with you throughout today and tomorrow. I don't think I'm going to head back until early Friday morning. So I would really love to hear what's happening within Virginia, within this food shed, and I hope to get to know many more people over the next 2 days. So congratulations, you're all champions, you're doing wonderful work, and from my food shed to yours, viva the delicious revolution. Thanks.